Torah spends a lot of time discussing the details of the laws of saras, of leprosy. And it introduces the parsha by using the language of Adam. Adam kiyeb or bisaro. If a person will have the skin on his face, and the Torah goes on, and it will be brought to the Kohen, etc. So many of the Mefarshim are wondered about the language of Adam. Why use the language of Adam when introducing the parsha of Metzorah? Why not give the more classical language of Ish, Gever, other names? Why the Lashon of Adam? And in fact, the Zohar points out in the Netziv that we know we have in the beginning of Vayikra as well. Adam ki yakriv lo karban. We use the language Adam. But Adam, when we refer to Adam, it's usually a higher level, like when Hashem created Adam from the Adama. Adam is usually a praiseworthy topic, a praiseworthy title. So you would think, if it's introducing the parsha of Metzorah, and as the Gemara tells us in Erech and Daf Tezvav, that generally speaking, the punishment of saras comes as a result of speaking lashon hara, evil gossip. So it makes the question even stronger. And the Gemara talks about the serious onesh, serious punishment. So why would the Torah use the word Adam? So the Mefarshim give different approaches to what we learn out from the use of Adam regarding the parsha of Metzorah. So some point out about the koach hadibor, the power of speech. That one of the things, in fact, in creation, first man was created at the end of creation. That was when man came to the world, everything was there for him. And as last week we read Parashat Shemini, we talk about kosher animals, we talk about Tumah V'Tara, and then we talk about the laws of Metzorah, the laws of Lashon Hara, as the rabbis tell us. Just as one has to be, this the Torah tells us, that just like the Torah is very concerned, God is very concerned about what goes into your mouth, so too He is equally concerned about what goes out of your mouth. And hence the juxtaposition of kashrus to the laws of Lashon Hara, to Metzorah. So Adam, the essence of Adam is the koach hadibor. Other animals also, on a certain level, communicate, but on a totally different level than man. The greatness of Adam is a medaber. In fact, that's what the Targum writes in the beginning of Bereshis, Parak Beis, Pasuk Zayin, when Adam Harishon was created from the earth, from the dust of the earth. So the Okulus writes, what do you mean, Nefesh Chaya? The Ruach HaMamala, the spirit of speech. In other words, how are human beings characterized? What defines a human being? The koach hadibor, the power of speech. And therefore, kind of like someone who uses his speech for negative, i.e. Lashon Hara, or other things, so therefore he is basically destroying life. Like we have a colloquial phrase in the Western society about let's kill some time. Like if someone was sitting down on a bus and every 5 minutes threw out a $10 bill, you won't lend him money because he shows he has a contempt for money. So too, imagine every couple of minutes the person says, I'm gonna waste an hour of my time. The killing time is really killing life. because the koach hadibor is communicating. So that's how the Torah began the parasha of Tzaras to teach us this lesson, that the potential of an Adam, that even though human beings could reach the highest level of greatness, one has to be aware about the dangers it could cause. And in fact, that's what we find, that when the Metzorah has to bring karbanos, they have to bring shnei tipurim, 2 birds. One bird you slaughter, and the other bird you send away, it flies away. The question is, why? What's the reason? Why do we have to bring 2 birds, one we slaughter, one we send away? So birds in general, the chirping, lashon hara, non-stop talking, that's what it's allusion to. So there's 2 parts. There's 2 parts of any mitzvah and 2 parts of any aveira. There's the ma'isa mitzvah, there's the physical act, and then there's the totzah, the result. So when it comes to, you need atonement for both. So atonement for the ma'isa mitzvah, so you bring a korban, you do the ma'isa shchita. However, the result could be terrible results, we know, of lashon hara. And we want to teach the person about how hard it is to atone for that. As someone asked Chafetz Chaim, how could I atone for lashon hara? I spoke lashon hara about it, and went viral throughout the city, and now today with internet, it goes viral right away on smartphones. So how do you do tshuva? So Chafetz Chaim gave a famous mashal. He says, take a pillow, cut open the pillow, and let the feathers go out, and then go ahead and collect the feathers. He said, that's impossible. I can't collect the feathers, they're all over. So too, lashon hara. It's very hard to atone for lashon hara because the damage is already done. It's hard to bring it back. That's why one has to be careful before. You have to be careful what you're saying. In other words, after you say that, it might be a little late, but we will never give up afterwards. But the point being is that you have to be extra careful, and that's why the lashon Adam, because the whole definition of Adam is man's elevation. So too, you have to realize that all the terrible danger. And therefore, if we remembered about the koach hadibor, whether it's for tov or ra, in both cases, whether it's coming to hurt someone or causing pain to someone or to make someone feel better, that's one pshat in Adam. Another pshat in Adam is a famous pshat from the Alshich, Moshe Alshich. He wrote, why is, again, same question, why is it called Adam? So he asked the famous question many Mefarshim ask, is how come we don't find Tzaras today? Is it because no one speaks lashon hara today? Is that why we don't have Tzaras? I don't think it was true during Yahshua's time, and it certainly isn't true now. So clearly we still are speaking lashon hara, yet we don't have Tzaras. So how come, he asked, why in the earlier generations they were subjugated to the punishment of leprosy, of Tzaras, but in our generation we do not get it anymore? So he answered that you have to be on a certain madrega in order to, I want to know to be zoche, but in order to be able to get Tzaras, you have to be on a certain high spiritual standing. Because the way the Alshich explains is basically like a mashal. Let's say you have a white dot on a black background, so obviously the white's going to show up. So therefore, if you're in a healthy spiritual state, so therefore everyone's going to see, it's going to be very visible, the Tzaras, when you speak lashon hara. However, if a person's not on that level, he's sinning anyway, and doing his spiritual level is so low, So therefore, it's hard to see it because it just fits in with everything else he's doing, and therefore it just blends in with all the other chesroinus, deficiencies. And that's the pshat in Adam. Adam, why do we introduce the pasuk with Adam? Because Adam is only on someone who's on that great madrega, only he can, he could get tzaras. So therefore, so the first pshat was Adam that's the essence of a human, the koach hadibur. The second pshat is Adam, the elevated status, is only for someone who actually is on that high level, and you can see the deficiency. And another approach is from Rav Nissen Alpert. Rav Nissen Alpert, who was a Talmud Muvak of Rav Moshe Feinstein. He lived on the Lower East Side. He was the first, when I went to Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchan at Yeshiva University, he was in the first year there. He was my Shia Rabbi, and then I continued listening to his Shir and Chumash for many years afterwards. So Rav Nissen Alpert explains as follows. Also, they wrote over Sefer Limudei Nissen, which has doesn't give full justice to the type of Chumash he used to give, full chidushim and for how long, but the Limudei Nissen has it sums up some different things that he said throughout. So in the Sefer, Alpert writes, the wider lashon Adam. So he wants to say a different pshat, that what does Chazal tell us? What is the difference between tzaddikim and rishayim? That what the tzaddikim don't sin, tzaddikim don't fall, rishayim do? No. The difference is after a rasha falls, he stays down, but a tzaddik falls and picks himself up. Sheva yipol tzaddik v'kam. The tzaddik falls 7 times, he keeps on picking himself up. The difference between the rasha and the tzaddik is a tzaddik's looking to improve and he picks himself up. So that's what Rav Alpert explains here. What is the greatness term of Adam? Is after a person gets a sarah, so now what? After he spoke, how is he going to deal with fixing the problem? So obviously one of the part of the process is Vahuva el HaKohen. So Rav Alpert pointed out, it's almost like Vahuva, you're being forced. The situation is forcing you to go to your Kohen, and you have to go tell him the whole scenario. We know it's very embarrassing to tell other people's secrets about you as things you did wrong. But we know the first step of tshuva is hakaras hachet. Therefore you are showing your ability to do tshuva, your ability to change and do what is necessary, even though it might be a big busha to you, it might be a big embarrassment. And hence, that's why the word Adam. Adam isn't going on before, but the person who goes Vahuva HaKohen, he gets involved in the kapara process, so for him, Vahuva, that shows his greatness. And this isn't limited to the sin of Lashon Hara, but this is true in general, that a person who wants to do tshuva, he does whatever it takes. A person's in a person, let's say, does a crime, he spends time in jail, and then he comes out and he tries to make a life for himself. So the greatness of Sharas is Vahuva, is the Adam. So we have 3 explanations here. We have the explanation of Adam versus introducing the parish of Adam, that it seems to be out of place, Adam, because Adam is a great thing, of elevated status, and here Adam is introduced by the Tzaras, and then we know it's punishment for Lashon Hara. So either we said because that's the Koach Hadiba, that's the definition of a human, and like the Targum writes, and therefore hence Adam, or the Moshe Alshech that Adam could only apply to Adam. You had to be on a high level. If you're pure white and you have a black spot, you're going to see it. But if a person has spiritual issues anyway and you're not on a high level, you're not going to notice a little dot on top of yourself. And the third approach from this and outbirth, that the greatness is afterwards, not before. It's what do you do after the situation. Like we just celebrated Pesach, and we just read from Kriyas Yamsuf, Vayamidu V'Hashem Moshe Abdo. What's the greatness of the Jewish people? The greatness of the Jewish people is they had Emunah. Why is Kriyas Yamsuf known as the prototype of all Nisim? Because it's what happened after the Nisim. You see Nisim all the time. People are moved. But after they saw the miracle of Kriyas Yamsuf, they strengthened their Emunah. So too after, it's very hard many times to see God after tragedies or other things don't happen. But as we learned last week, by Yidam Aaron, sometimes the response has to be silence, and it takes time. We don't start speaking about someone during the immediate tragedy. You have to wait. You have to wait for time to pass. And therefore, just like the Metzorah, he does whatever it takes to become a better person. That's the Lashon V'huva El Kohen, and that's what we pointed out as well. That is why he has to bring the two birds as well. The Torah tells us that part of the process for a Metzorah to atone, he has to bring Shnei Siporim, he has to bring two birds. One bird is slaughtered, and one bird is sent off. Which isn't something we usually do, is we don't just send the bird to fly away. So what do we need these two birds? So there's different explanations. Some say, as we explained before, that one, because it's usually to every mitzvah or every aveira, you have the ma'isa mitzvah, you have the physical act, and you have the result, and therefore you do a good deed to not only the impact on you, but also helping someone else. And similarly, the ma'isa aveira, the impact on you in doing the sin. There's two aspects. So therefore, you do the ma'isa shchita on the act of speaking lashon hara, but the totzah, the result, you have to send the bird out to show how damaging the bird can fly all over. That's how much damage your lashon hara does. The Chafetz Chaim's mashal, that you cut open a pillow and then throw the feathers out and gather them all up. So you have to be very careful to not to speak lashon hara, because it's very hard to atone for it. And as well, Mepharshim give another answer, is that people might think that it's so hard not to speak lashon hara, I just might as well not speak at all. And therefore maybe that's the idea, that's the ideal. But we know in Judaism that's not the case. We're supposed to mekadesh t'chol. We don't believe going to separating yourself from the world and going to some monastery. We believe you should get married, have children, and live in this world. The Torah wasn't given to angels. So if someone wanted to see, I hear about the Chafetz Chaim, he writes this whole lashon hara book, but he probably just sits there quietly. And when he met the Chafetz Chaim, he was very impressed that Chafetz Chaim spoke a lot. Because the yesod is, it's not this one thing, the different levels. The worst level is speaking lashon hara. There's a second level, which is not speaking the good. The whole koach hadibor is supposed to speak, is supposed to make people feel good, say the appropriate things. So you have to do tshuva on that as well, so the two tiparim. And even more than that, that we're saying, we don't want you sitting there quietly, we want you, so you have to go out. I'm not telling you not to speak. We're telling you to purify your speech, and that's how. And that's how. How does the Metzorah? How does someone who speaks lashon hara? What is the punishment? Badad Yoshe. If he sits alone. The implication of the Torah is clear that lashon hara and other types of evil or disgusting speech are not only, obviously, as we all know, very painful and hurtful to others, but ultimately they're self-destructive. That it's so grave, the sin, that they have to go badad yashav, you have to go put him in solitary confinement, and so he should see the gravity of what he did, and therefore fully appreciate the koach hadibur. And therefore, this is so, it teaches us why it's chazak, but so much important on the importance of the community, the tzibur. I think John Kennedy, when he was, I don't know if it was at a speech, he said, you don't have to ask the question, what can our country do for you? But the question you may ask is, what can I do for my country? What can I do for my community? That's the question you should be asking, getting a deeper appreciation for the concept of the tzibur, and hence that is why he was put behind. He's put in solitary confinement. In fact, so much so that the Gemara tells us in the Darim, Samach Tawad Amud Beis, that someone who has saras, he's chashiv kameis. He's considered like, of course, he's not physically dead, and of course, if you kill him, you're a murderer. But what does Chazal mean from a machshava point of view, from a Agadic point of view? What does it mean that Suma Chashiv, the Metzorah is Chashiv Kameis? Other people also are Chashiv Kameis. It talks about an ani being Chashiv Kameis, a poor person, someone who's blind. What is Chazal getting at? Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, it's a famous piece in the Sichos Musar where he explains that the reason why a Metzorah is called Chashiv Kameis is not because of the pain he's suffering from the saras or even the public humiliation. That's not why. That isn't why he's called Chashiv Kameis. But what's considered living life? Living life means you have to have the ability to give out. You need the ability to give to others. If you're banished from the tzibur and you're alone, you can't do chesed for anyone. And that's why it's Chashiv Kameis. Because there's no one that... Avraham Avinu realized it, that's why he went ahead, chesed, that's why Hashem gave him the three angels who dressed up as people in order that Avraham was able to... In order that Avraham was able to do his mitzvah of Hachnasas Orchim. And we know there's many benefits of being part of a tzibur. However, the opportunity to help and contribute to the community has a tremendous impact on us as well. And therefore, for one to be fully alive, you have to be living in a tzibur helping out others, because there's a Metzorah Chashiv Kameis, and that's what the whole concept, the whole gift of life is by giving. Ava, from the Lashon give, not to, in American society, we tell them, the more you take from someone, the more you love them. We know it's not true. The more you give to someone, the more you love that person. That's why the ultimate giver is a Jewish mommy. You would think, who should love who more, parents or kids? Parents, you would think kids should love the parents because the parents do everything for them. But it's just the opposite. Because the parents do everything for them, hence the parents love the kids more, because you develop a love to the act of giving. And that's what we're trying to teach them. It's so what a terrible, destructive thing, speaking Lashon Hara in a community, destroying people's reputations and names, Parnasa, Badad Yashav, you better sit in solitary confinement and work out the issues, and only then you'll be able to go ahead and begin the tshuva process and realize the importance of the tzibor. And as Rav Alpert explained, v'huvel HaKohen, that's the first step in the tshuva process. You're an Adam, you have to go through that embarrassment, you have to go tell the Kohen all the details. That's all part of the process, and then ultimately a person will no longer be chashav kameis. He will have the ability to give.